I just swallowed wrong. Okay. Welcome to episode 37 of C3 Crystals, Cauldrons, and Cocktails. I'm River.
And I'm Wren.
And today we're going to talk about Yule. We, first of all, are sorry for being a little bit late.
Yes.
It's been crazy. It always is right around this time. But, you know, she had exams and I've got family issues going on. I hurt myself and had to go to the doctor. And so anyway, sorry we're late. We'll try not to do this again. But since it's that time of year, what kind of cocktails are we having?
Something yummy. That's
something
what we're having. Yeah.
We're having something that we have called Yule Tidings, which I think is a great name.
Yeah, I like that name.
I do too. And it's a warm drink, which even though it's warmer than we would like it to be here in Georgia at this time of year, you know, Yule and that time of year is not supposed to be warm. It's still a comforting drink. It is apple cider with spices like cinnamon and that kind of thing. And you put butter in it and you heat this on the stove and you melt it and you add rum. My mouth is watering and I'm drinking it right now.
Rum is so good. And this is probably one of my favorite drinks that we've had.
Yeah, it's very festive. It fits with this time of year. It makes me feel nostalgic. I like to add a little splash of orange liqueur in mine. I'm not sure if I don't think that you liked it. So let's get to Yule. So Yule is the time to celebrate the winter solstice in the Northern Hemisphere. It's also time to celebrate the summer solstice, which is Litha, in the Southern Hemisphere. And Yule is when the dark half of the year relinquishes to the light half of the year. On the summer solstice, that's going to be the longest night of the year. Starting the next morning at sunrise, the sun climbs just a little higher and stays a little bit longer in the sky every day. So the light is starting to come back.
That's good because like I go to the grocery store at like 5 and it's
pitch
dark,
black. Yeah.
And I can't see anything.
Yeah. One of my friends, I got a friend up in New Jersey and she said it's dark at 4:30 there. Isn't that crazy?
No, I just took my dog to the vet and I got there at 4.
Speaking of, there she is.
4:20. That was her appointment time. And I get there and they had like something like an emergency, but I left it like, I was there for like an hour, but I got there bright outside. I leave and it's like dark. Like I felt like it was like 9 p.m.
The only good part about this time of year when it's dark early is I get to see the moon if I'm driving home. And the moon is rising and you can see, and it's huge, especially when it's full. It's beautiful. That's the only good thing I can say about it being.
We just had a full moon.
Yes.
And I didn't get to see it.
I didn't either. It's been kind of cloudy here.
Yeah.
But it was rainy and cold, well, coldish, but it was called the cold moon. That's the cold moon is the one in December.
See, we've been having this, and I think this might give away where I am, but, our stadium, I live right by the stadium on campus.
Everybody knows where you live now.
Yeah. And the sky is always red.
Oh, wow.
That's how close I live to the stadium. And the sky is literally always red.
And does the moon rise over the stadium or is it a different direction?
It's a different direction, but I think it would look really cool if it were over there, but it's on the opposite side of like how my place is oriented. But yeah, the sky is always red and it's been red this past week. It's crazy.
Interesting. Yeah. That's crazy. Yeah. So traditional customs such as the Yule log, the decorating the Christmas tree and wassailing or Christmas caroling are all traced back to the pagan Yule ceremony.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of the modern Christmas celebrations and either other religion celebrations all have some founding within the pagan culture.
Yeah.
Which I just think is cool. It kind of gives me chills to know that I'm celebrating something that our ancestors celebrated.
Yeah.
Many cultures around the world have winter festivals that are in fact celebrations of the light because this is a time when the light is coming back. And so it's a joyous time. And in addition to Christmas, there's Hanukkah and you light menorahs and that kind of thing. We've got Kwanzaa, which also deals with Kwanzaa candles. There's all kinds of winter holidays out there to celebrate the return of the light. it's a festival of the sun, and the most important part of any Yule celebration is light, whether it's candles or bonfires or whatever. Fire and light is the most important thing.
Wouldn't you say that the Yule log would go with that?
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
The history of it, which is fascinating, that's something that Wren and I usually love to go into. It is known as solstice night because, of course, it occurs on the solstice, and it's the longest night of the year. And the sun's rebirth was celebrated with much joy in the past, which, of course.
Did we say when it starts this season?
It's the 21st, right?
It starts
Tuesday.
December, 21st, and it lasts until January 1st. So it goes into the new year,
Yeah, my brother-in-law's birthday is the solstice. It's the 21st. Yeah. Oh. Yeah, he's not a witch, though. he thinks I'm weird, but we won't go there. Okay, so in Norse and Europe times, on this night, our ancestors celebrated the rebirth of the Oak King and the rebirth of the Sun King, and the Oak King, I think, was the one that I might have this backwards. This is the one that you talked about in our letter.
Yes, with it was just like monthly. I just briefly covered they fought.
They did, and so one of the kings beats the other king, and so the sun starts to come back. It must have been the Sun King that beats the Oak King, and then at the summer solstice, it's the other way around, leading to the light and to the dark.
That makes sense.
The Oak King. Oh, if I had just gone a little bit farther, I might have answered my own question. The Oak King represents the light of the new year, and he tries each year to usurp the old Holly King, who is the symbol of darkness. Weren't holly leaves the ones that look like bat wings?
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting? Yeah. It all ties together.
Hold on. Wait. Brief intermission.
Okay, we had a brief intermission. Our dogs are having a play date, but they don't want to have the play date without us. So and we locked ourselves in my altar room for the quiet because there's family and people upstairs. So now we have dogs with us, so please bear with us if their play gets a little loud. Okay, so what were we talking about? The Oak King and the Holly King, which is different than the Sun King. Maybe the Oak King is the Sun King. Anyway, there is a reenactment of the battle that often occurs in some cultures, and it's very popular. And the Wiccan rituals also, I believe, this might be a Wiccan thing, the Oak King and the Holly King.
Okay.
Until the 16th century, the winter months were a time of famine in Northern Europe. Most cattle were slaughtered so that they wouldn't have to be fed during the wintertime. There was no grass to feed them with, and there wasn't anything that the poor people could do. And so they slaughtered all of their meat. So it was this huge feast that took place at this time.
My question is, you slaughter all of your meat and all of your animals. Where do you get the animals for next season?
Well, I think they keep some, but they can't keep the whole herd.
Okay, so I get it. So
they must have
rationed out, and they are able to take care of a certain amount and then repopulate with them.
See, and I want to say that in the olden times, they would actually bring the animals into their home during this winter time because otherwise they would freeze to death and starve to death, which I think is very interesting. Most celebrations of the winter solstice in Europe involved merriment and feasting because of this time. It was a plentiful time, which, during winter, it's a time of famine when you're starving to death. So they didn't have refrigeration to be able to say, oh, well, let's freeze, this side of beef so that we could eat the whole, so they had this splurge right at the beginning of this. Well, it's midwinter right now, but it was just a time of merriment and feasting and gluttony, really.
Which sounds amazing.
It does. I mean, that's my kind of party, I'm telling you. The ceremonial Yule log was the highlight of the solstice festival. In accordance to tradition, the log must either have been harvested from the householder's land or given as a gift. It must never have been bought.
Okay.
Once it was dragged into the house, it was placed in the fireplace, and then it was decorated with seasonal greenery like the holly and the fir that we talked about last week. It was doused with apple cider or ale, and then dusted with flour right before it was set ablaze by a piece of last year's log. So you hold on to the piece.
Yeah, I like that tradition a lot.
Yeah, you try to keep it smoldering for 12 days. Which you watched Sabrina the Teenage Witch, the newer one on Netflix.
Yeah.
They had a Yule tradition on that show, which was really cool, where they had the Yule log. I don't know if you remember.
I don't remember.
It stuck with me because I thought it was really cool. And you use a piece of last year's Yule log to light the current year's. So you'll want to, which I think I'll talk about this later, but you'll want to save a piece of it.
Yeah.
You try to keep it smoldering for 12 days after it before being ceremonially put out, which I wonder, is 12 days the amount of time that you were talking about from the solstice to how far did you say it went to the new January? It starts
the 21st and ends the 1st. So how many days is that?
That's about 10 days-ish.
Yeah.
Okay, very cool. We had another brief break there. The dogs were not having a good time. See, normally when we're together, we started this in January. I don't remember when we started this. April. So it was warm. So usually when we're together, we're out on my deck and the dogs are fine because they can run around in the backyard and do all of that. And so this is our first time, I guess, recording inside, is it?
No, I think we recorded inside before.
I don't know.
I don't know where the animals were at that point, but
maybe they were getting along that day. Maybe. Ash is traditionally the wood for the Yule log. That is, but I don't know in our yard, if I wanted to go out and find my Yule log, I don't think we've got any ash in our yard. I don't know.
No, I don't.
I would have to ask my husband. He's the one that knows plants, trees and stuff better than I do. But ash is the traditional wood. It is the sacred world tree, and it's an herb of the sun. Which is so weird to me to always think that trees and stuff can be herbs, but they are.
I think anything can be an herb because an herb is an herb.
An herb is an herb. You're not wrong. It brings light into the hearth at the solstice. So did you know that in Norse tradition, it was believed that Old Man Winter visited homes to join in these festivities that were going on? Odin, the Viking god, was described as a wanderer with a long white beard and is considered the first father of Christmas.
I actually did know that.
Did you?
I'm a big Norse mythology, Greek mythology.
That doesn't surprise me that you knew that.
So yeah, I did know that. I didn't think about it for this, but yeah, I did know that.
And then the Romans, remember when I said that Saturnalia was a Roman holiday and I couldn't remember when it was? It is a winter holiday. It was celebrated by the Romans beginning on December 17th, and it was a week-long festival in honor of the god Saturn, and it involved sacrifices, gift-giving, and feasting, which I think, 7 days after December 17th would put the end of this holiday on the solstice. So isn't that cool?
Yeah.
So this was a week-long party fest. Those Romans, man, they were like party animals. Saturnalia was a festival of general merrymaking, debauchery, can't go wrong with that.
Wow.
Held around the time of the winter solstice. It was held in honor. Okay, so this rum is really good. If you could see my face, it's bright red. It was held in honor of the god Saturn, and there was sacrifices, but there were also special privileges given to slaves, and then lots of feasting. It was partly about giving presents, but most of all, it was to honor an agricultural god, the coming of the time of the sun, that the light was going to come back where they could grow their food.
Yeah.
A typical Saturnalia gift might be something like a writing tablet or a tool, cups and spoons, clothing items, and food. So, just like Christmas.
It's not too bad, except for the writing tablets now, an electronic tablet.
Yeah, they wouldn't understand our writing tablets.
I think that it would blow their mind with the technology that we have.
What kind of writing tablets did they have? I mean, it wouldn't have been stone, that's too far back from the Romans. The Romans were pretty modern. Did they use papyrus? Maybe
paper, maybe some sort of special paper,
and it was all somehow put together. They didn't have staples, but maybe it was sewn together.
Well, usually they do in that time Roman times. Yeah, I mean, they had the rolls, like scrolls and stuff. So maybe something like that.
So they would be given a scroll. I would love to get a scroll of really
it sounds
cool
so nice.
paper. That would be neat. Also, they would deck their halls with boughs of greenery. So the firs that we talked about, I talked a little bit about this last week. And they even hung small tin ornaments on bushes and trees. So kind of like us today.
Yeah.
Bands of naked revelers often roamed the streets singing and carousing, a sort of naughty version of today's Christmas caroling tradition. How'd you like to go? We're going to go Christmas caroling naked.
Naked, but in the snow? Like, let's say it's snowing.
Well, it's not snowing here. It's warm enough to go naked.
No, yeah, you're right.
What are you saying? You want to do this? Okay, yeah, we would be in jail for Christmas.
But
anyway.
If we could just blame it on our own traditions.
Hey, it's a religious freedom, dudes, You can't lock us up for our religion. In Egypt, the return of Ra, the sun god, was celebrated as a way of thanking him for warming the land and the crops. And then, of course, when Christianity popped up, the new hierarchy had trouble converting the pagans. And as such, they didn't, because the people didn't want to give up these parties. Who would want to give up roaming naked in the street and singing, right? So they actually kind of converted little bits at a time. We've talked about this before too, these traditions into their Christian network. And within a few centuries, Christians had everyone worshiping a new holiday that was celebrated on December 25th, which was supposed to be the birthday of Jesus. But of course, scholars say it's more likely that Jesus was born around April. I thought it was July, but this particular site said April rather than in the winter.
Okay.
So in the modern Yule, which is where we are today, most people combine the celebration with Christmas in some manner. I mean, some people don't even acknowledge Yule, but
no, not at all.
In our family, we do merge those together.
Yeah, I want to say growing up for me, I have like one tradition that when I researched it, I didn't know that was a Yule tradition, but I had done it growing up. And so I thought that was really cool because I had no idea
that's where it came from. Yeah. The symbolism of Yule is the rebirth of the sun, the longest night of the year, the winter solstice, introspect, planning for the future.
Okay.
The symbols are the Yule log, or a small Yule log with 3 candles, which is something I've seen that I'll talk about in a little bit. Evergreen boughs or wreaths, holly, mistletoe hung in doorways, gold pillar candles, baskets of clove-studded fruit, which when I was a little kid, we did that. We had oranges, and my mom would get out the cloves, the actual cloves, and they've got these little points on it and a little round head, kind of like a bulletin board pen. And you would we would put ribbon like in a cross around the orange, and we would hold the ribbon in place with the cloves. Oh. And then it smelled really good.
Oh, I bet.
And we would hang those on the trees and around and all of that. So let's see, a simmering pot of wassail, which we'll talk about, poinsettias, Christmas cactus, that kind of thing. Those are all symbols. Did you know that did you know that the Druids are thought to have believed that the berries of the mistletoe represented the sperm of the gods? You all could see her face. When pressed, a semen-like substance issues from the white berries. Mistletoe was considered a magical aphrodisiac, and girls standing under a sprig of mistletoe were just asking for a bit more than a kiss.
I don't like that. That's very
I like it.
What's the word that I'm looking for?
I don't know.
Unappealing, I guess.
I thought it was great.
No.
And then it was also believed that if holly was used for decoration in a house, if the holly leaves were smooth, then the wife of the house will be the head of the house for the coming year. And if the holly was prickly, then the man of the house would be in control.
And who picks this holly?
Yeah, good question.
Because if I picked it,
I know, right? If both kinds of hollies were used while decorating the household, it suggests a very balanced and harmonious year for the household.
Okay.
So that makes sense because the men are going to go out there looking for the little prickly ones, and the women would go out looking for the smooth ones.
And then you both end up with both of them.
Be balanced and harmonious. The colors of Yule are red, green, gold, white, silver, yellow, and orange.
Yellow.
Orange. Isn't that odd?
Well, if you think about it right now with our global warming issues, right now it is yellow and orange because the leaves are just now starting to fall off the trees.
Yeah,
so
you're right.
Makes sense right now. Yeah, we were driving on the way here and it was like on a highway and the trees had just started to like change color on some of these trees that we were passing. And I was like, I haven't, like, usually in my backyard, quote unquote, like off of my small balcony, it's like all trees and everything. And usually at this time of year, I can see naked. Everything. There's a river behind, well, I'm really pinpointing where I am. There's a river like right off where we live, and usually I can see the river clear as day because all the trees,
the trees are bare. Yeah.
And right now we still have plenty of leaves, and it's still like in the middle of summer.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
The herbs of Yule are bayberry, blessed thistle, evergreen, frankincense, holly, laurel, mistletoe, oak, pine, sage, and yellow cedar. Which is interesting. They don't include ash in that, since ash is the wood for the Yule log.
Yeah.
That's very interesting. Different sites, so do your research, and we'll put our links from what we researched, but there's probably a lot of contradictory information out there.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
The traditional foods are cookies and caraway cakes soaked in cider, which I've had the cakes soaked in rum.
Oh.
There seems to be Yule is the time of rum. Fruits, nuts, pork dishes, turkey, eggnog, which is another thing that rum goes well in, ginger tea, spiced cider, wassail, which to me is a spiced cider, or lamb's wool, which they said is ale, sugar, nutmeg, and roasted apples.
Well, that sounds good.
It does. But why is it called lamb's wool? That's interesting.
I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. I was going to make a joke about like seeping a lamb in it and then draining them out.
Yummy.
But not actually kill the lamb, just like the wool.
We're just going to use your little fur for a little bit. Don't mind us.
Yeah. Just soak you in some ale and sugar and nutmeg.
Well, if the lambs were in the house with us because it's cold, then there you go.
Why not? It's a good place to store your goods.
That's gross.
You want a drink, you just go squeeze it out.
There you go. It's all nice and filtered, right? Okay. The incense of Yule is pine, cedar, bayberry, cinnamon. And if you don't want to use incense because it's too smoky, you can use scented candles.
Okay.
Which I love, the pine and the cinnamon candles. I love that smell at Yule. The stones are rubies, bloodstones, garnets, emeralds, and diamonds, which makes sense. Those are the colors of Yule.
Yeah.
So in modern traditions, what can you do for modern traditions to celebrate Yule? You can go on a Yule log hunt.
Oh.
So, take your kids out into the forest and find that special Yule log. If you live on a beach where there isn't forest, driftwood might work.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So look for decorations as you're hunting as well. This is great exercise. It's great family time together. You're out in the woods, just hiking around. It's wonderful. So, have them gather acorns and pine cones and other greenery that you find at this time of year.
Oh, you said acorn. I have a story.
Okay.
So, you know how, I think I've explained the acorn cracking of my phone. Well, my husband and I, we parked under a tree and now we have a cracked windshield.
From an acorn?
Yes.
Oh.
So acorns are not for us. So anytime we hear acorn, it's a no for us. No acorns.
I feel like I remember you told me that your dad didn't believe you.
He still swears up and down that I was lying, but my story hasn't changed because I'm telling the truth. He doesn't believe me.
Anyway, okay, so you've looked for all your decorations and then you clean off the Yule log. You let the children decorate it. You can have them use glue, with glitter, wire. You can wire on the pine cones. You can put small holes in the log to hang ornaments on, just decorate it. And kids are really good at this kind of thing. Once it's decorated, you toast to the log and you douse it with your apple cider or mulled wine or whatever it is that you want to do. And you dust it with the flour that I told you about. And you put it into the fireplace and you set it ablaze. You can also, another tradition, and our patrons got this, is to make a sun candle. And we go into more detail on this on our patrons. Our patrons have access to that. So I'm not going to tell you anything more than that, but it is there available for people if you want to become a patron. And you can have your very own sun celebration. And we have a little post about that. And basically, Yule is all about the feasting.
The feast.
So lots of yummy food. You could go caroling. In the colder, I lived farther north when I was little, and we did actually do Christmas caroling. I was a Girl Scout.
Oh, that's lame.
So, it is not lame.
Well, I'm just not a person to understand Christmas caroling.
It's fun. You go and you share the spirit of Christmas with your neighbors.
I can share the spirit of Christmas with my couch. That's how I feel.
I think we might have just found the title to this episode. But, it's fun. You go out and you sing with your friends and, you make people they'll open their door and they listen to you sing. And I mean, it's a fun time. And then you meet back at your house and you have hot chocolate or make an adult coffee.
It just sounds so unappealing.
Really?
Like I wouldn't want
to.
Well,
you're an introvert.
I know, but I wouldn't want to open my door and have people sing at me. That's just weird.
I think it's wonderful.
I think it's weird.
But then, see, I grew up with it. So I guess that's why it's not weird
Seeing
to me.
it in movies, I was always like, what are these people doing? That's weird.
It gives you this wonderful feeling of kindred spirit with your fellow humanity.
No. I
am not an introvert. I am an extrovert. So I do like people and I do like to spend time with people.
See, no.
I can't sing though. So I don't know that they're very appreciative of my caroling.
No. If I try to sing, I would make your ears bleed.
That's
so I just don't think that Christmas caroling or like holiday caroling is very.
I think that just settles it. We got to rope our men into it, and we should all go caroling.
No.
Okay, another tradition you can do is to create a Yule altar, which I have a friend coming to spend the season with us, so I'm having to dismantle my altar room to put up a bed for my friends.
You have to give up your altar
so
room.
I can't do a Yule altar at least not in this room. I can do an altar maybe upstairs.
Maybe like a small altar shelf or something.
I can do that.
It doesn't have to be anything big.
But we can, use the symbols and the colors and all that we talked about, put a pine cone on there.
Cinnamon is very good.
Oh, I love cinnamon. I love the way it smells.
Yes.
I love it in the apple cider and the mulled wines.
Yes. My altar, I've actually changed it up a bit. I know I posted a picture on my personal account on Instagram because
I saw it. I remember that.
It was a little bit ago, but I've changed it up since then. And I had a friend actually give me a handmade, she calls it a trinket dish. I didn't know what to call it. I just said, I just thought it was like the handmade. And so that went on there and I'm changing out a couple things for the colors. And I've added a little bit of different like herbs and stuff for the season.
You can do better with altars not in a secluded room because you don't have children yet. Yeah. And it's very difficult to have an altar in an open space when you got kids.
It was interesting because we have roof damage. Ceiling damage. And so a guy came over to check out our ceiling damage. And I was like, do I need to move my altar? Because it's in the middle and I didn't want any.
Yeah, we're in the Bible Belt. So it's but difficult.
I don't think he even realized it because right now I'm in the middle. It's a long story. I'm in the middle of doing flipping furniture type things and selling it. And so my husband was outside sanding the table for me, and I don't even think he looked that way. He was like, I'm just going to do my job and get out.
Yeah, they are very creative. Her husband is very supportive of her. She is super creative. And so they'll go to flea markets or
thrift stores.
And they will flip stuff. And she makes some beautiful things.
Yeah, right now my table is not working properly. It's a weird thing. If it's wood, I have I know I'm complaining to the podcast, but what do you have a podcast for if you can't complain?
That's right.
So
these are our tribe listening to us.
Yeah. So like this table is real wood, and I don't paint real wood. Like you don't paint. No. But the legs are very tricky, and I've stained it.
What are they, ornate? So it's hard to
and I can't get in there. So I thought I had sanded it enough, and so I stained it, and the legs are a little bit darker in some areas. It's an antique type.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to basically like restore it to as best I can. But the color, I bought the exact same color that it was, but it came out red. like a redwood instead of like, it was like a nice golden oak color.
I love the red colors, the rich red wood.
And it's not drying.
Oh no.
So we moved it inside, like we applied like the really nice coating that you put on it.
Polyurethane type
thing? Poly to go on top to seal it all in. It's not drying. And it's been 2 days. So we left it.
Interesting.
We're going. So we're about to be in town for holidays with family and everything. So we're leaving it for about a week and a half, and we're going to see if it's dry, because we still have to put on another coat before we can sell it. And this is the only piece of furniture that we've ever had a problem with.
Yeah.
And I did say I got it for a good deal, and I was lucky, and I jinxed myself.
Yeah. She made us table that we've put out on our deck. That is beautiful.
I love that
table. Absolutely gorgeous.
I love that table.
I keep telling her she needs to open a store or something someday. Yeah, someday
maybe that's what I'll do. Maybe that's what I'll do. Be a little old lady selling my furniture.
It's beautiful stuff. You're very creative.
How do we get on that topic?
I have no idea. But you know how some kids leave food and stuff out for Santa's reindeer? Well, back in the day, in the Norse tradition, they actually did this. The Viking children would leave their shoes out by the hearth with sugar and hay on the eve of the winter solstice for Odin's 8-legged horse, Sleipnir.
I knew that.
Did you?
Yeah.
How did you know that?
I forgot that the horse had 8 legs.
Yeah.
But I do remember that, where they would leave the stuff out with their shoes. And
you know, it's so interesting. That is a very common tradition in all different kinds of cultures. You know, and
it's like our stockings kind of. And
yeah.
when I was little, I always wanted to leave food out for the reindeer. And my parents were like, oh, I guess, like, you know, but
yeah,
like they just thought it was like, I would leave the most random stuff that I could find in the pantry out for them.
I left cookies for Santa, cookies and milk for Santa.
I left cereal a lot for the reindeer.
That's cool.
That's what
very
I wanted,
sweet.
Like cereal. And then of course we had cookies and milk for Santa.
That's very sweet.
But I always worried about the reindeer. I was like, the reindeer need,
they've
stuff
been working
too.
hard that night.
Yeah.
Now we can't really leave off without mentioning Krampus. That is the horned creature that travels with Santa and bags and beats naughty children. So we're going to do our Patreon episode for the end of this month on Krampus. So if you're interested, come become a patron, and you will have access to that.
Yes.
And that's all I've got. You've got more. I think you had looked up some stuff.
I just have like a little bit of tradition wise of like what you can also do for Yule if you're interested in like some of the things that we've stated aren't really your fancy, you know?
Right.
My favorite thing that I researched, I haven't done this, but it makes me really want to.
Okay.
Where you create a cinnamon and pine smudge stick, and you smudge your house.
Brilliant. Yeah. Oh, I want to do that.
I know, me too. And I just love it because it sounds like it would smell like the holidays.
Yes. And cleanse your space at the same time.
And refreshes your space.
Especially,
it smells amazing.
If you have a lot of people coming to visit, which during the holidays we often do, you can do that regularly during the season.
Yeah.
I love that idea.
Another thing you can do is a simmer pot. And I know that but I found a recipe, and it's like quote unquote recipe because I'm just following like what other people do, like based off of like social media. But there was one that I found that was cranberries and apple slices and cinnamon and like all of this
oranges,
stuff.
maybe
some oranges. I didn't see any specific, but I would probably add some oranges in there. But it was mostly like cinnamon and nutmeg and like sprinkles of like.
Is this like what you did in your crock pot?
Yeah. But this time, and I think I already stated this, I wouldn't do it in the crock pot again. Even though you can leave it safely in the crock pot overnight, I don't think that it boiled. And that's kind of like
never
the
got the hot to release it out into the air. Yeah.
It made my kitchen smell amazing, but the rest of the house wasn't. It didn't get that.
So what are you supposed to do? Put it in a pot? Just a
like a pot, yeah. And then you let it boil throughout the day. And then once it's done, you can either save it and compost it or probably compost it because that's what I would do.
You know, another thing sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Go ahead.
Another thing that would be fun for Yule is while you're finding all these pine cones, you can make bird feeders, because a lot of the traditions come from, you know, as witches, we are very into nature and giving back to the world that has given us. And so you can make like pine cone bird feeders and hang those, and you can decorate trees outside with those. Yeah. Oh, did you have that?
Well, I have that. You can make seed covered apples as treats for
good
the birds.
Idea.
And that is what I did when I was little.
Neat.
I used to do that a lot, and I can't remember. I have a vivid memory, kind of like an image of like doing something like that, but I don't remember why or what it was for. I remember it was in the season.
Maybe it was during the
school.
Season.
Yeah. Maybe it was at school and I brought it home, but I vividly remember putting like these seeds on like an apple and hanging it up when I got home. I think maybe it was for school.
It may have been.
Which is a really cool thing for like, maybe it was like a special teacher that I had. I don't know. And they did that because it was like, you know, like the end of the school parties, you know, like for the season.
Yeah.
You can also make a Yule log cake.
I have seen pictures. How do you do it? I don't know anything about it.
I have no idea.
We'll have to find some recipes.
There's a wonderful recipe and I've read through all of it. And I have been through quite some stuff with my health this year.
Yeah,
I have a gluten problem. And so, which is new and it's hard, but with cake, I've been looking at a whole ton of recipes, and there's one recipe that I found that would be easy to substitute for. Okay. And it's on the Pioneer Woman. And I know that that's like,
I like her. Yeah.
So her recipe, if I just Googled, Yule log cake, and one of her recipes popped up. So it was just like one of the top links.
Is it actually rolled? Because that's the part I don't have talent doing.
Like how I read it is like, it's a chocolate cake with a cream cheese type filling.
My mouth is watering.
I know. And it has a really nice, like thick chocolate icing to go on top. And so I think what she did is she had like a flat cake, and I think you have to keep it really moist so it doesn't crumble when you bend it, like when you roll it. But she like filled it with like the cream cheese filling and like rolled it, and then she topped it with the chocolate icing. But that would be something really interesting to make this season.
And with that, you could actually put 3 candles. Like, I don't know if y'all have seen our TikTok where I did a video of the altar that we had done down here just for fun for TikTok. And on it, I had those candles, and someone actually asked where we got those candles, and we get them off Amazon, but they're like a large birthday candles. They're bigger than birthday candles, but they're not as big as a taper candle.
They're
but
perfect.
You can put 3 of those, and you can even choose,
whatever
a
color,
red one, a white one, and a green one, or whatever, and that would be perfect on that.
Yeah, it would be. And then I just have one more thing. Okay. You can also make a Yule wreath. Like let's say, for example, like with the scavenger hunt that you were kind of talking about, like for your kids, or you find pine cones and acorns, you can like make your own wreath out of all of that and add your pine cones and all of that. But I can't do that because I am like, if you use pine in your wreath, I can't do it.
Why?
I'm allergic.
You're allergic to pine? Did you tell me that before?
Fur. Is it fur? Yeah. Yeah, I'm allergic. If I touch it, I get really itchy.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So another one is you can decorate a pine tree, like quote unquote Christmas tree, Yule tree, a living tree, but I have to decorate fake ones because I am allergic.
Well, I like to decorate the real ones outside because like you said, with the apples, and peanut butter is a really good source to stick the birdseed to, whether
Mhm.
it's pine
Mhm.
cones or apples, and then you put it on live trees so you're not cutting down a tree
Yeah.
and killing it.
Yeah.
I use an artificial tree as well for
Yeah.
Yule.
That's true.
But yeah,
that's all that I have. We just had some fun
I would
little things.
love to hear what our listeners do. I'm always
Yeah.
up for new traditions. I'm really excited about the season. I'm finally done with all my big work for work, so I can actually turn
Relax
my
and
attention
enjoy.
to Yule and Christmas, because we combine Yule with Christmas in our house.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not Christian, but the sentiment
it's kind of like
is there.
Yeah, the holiday is there, and I feel like where we are, Christmas is very prevalent, and so
and it's not. I agree with the basis for Christmas, the kindness to others, and the gift giving, and the appreciating, the time of family, all of those things, which are part of, quote, Christmas, are also part of Yule.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we have stockings that, Santa comes, but I do try to teach my kids appreciation and nature and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So,
but yeah.
So you want to do our outro?
I feel like it's been
I know,
a little bit.
We're late on this one. Sorry.
Okay. You guys can find us on all social media at C3 Witchy Podcast. That's Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and Facebook. You can also find us at www.c3witchypodcast.com. There you'll find our links to our Patreon, our merch, our blog, our newsletter. Our website has it all. And it's kind of mismatchy right now. I was looking at it.
I looked at it yesterday too.
Something didn't save or publish when I was editing it, and I looked at it and I was like, I'll fix it later.
I thought it looked fine. I was in there updating the blurb from our last episode because it was still talking about Samhain.
Oh,
that's how far back we are. But we try to be active on our website. I am going to try to publish some recipes for the mulled wine and that kind of thing for our patrons. So definitely come to our Patreon, which is at c3witchypodcast.com.
It's just C3 Witchy Podcast.
On the Patreon site, which is patreon.com. So come find us there. We try to do a lot of things for our patrons because we really appreciate it. We couldn't do this without you guys. It takes money. Who knew that doing a podcast took money? But you can't even
takes a lot.
You can't even upload this without paying somebody to do it. So
it takes some time and some effort,
and the time and effort. And she's trying to graduate. And,
so,
I've got family, and so yes, we really appreciate all of you that we have a new patron. So yes, thank you.
We shouted them out last time.
We did, and she hasn't given us her address yet. But if you do want a tote bag, then send us your address, and we'll send you a tote bag. That you get that as a welcome just for joining we call it our coven, even though
it's our virtual coven.
Our virtual coven, because we really do appreciate you guys. So, and also another thing that would help us a lot would be if you could leave reviews for us.
Reviews would be a lot. If you can't do Patreon, that's fine, or anything else. Reviews are 100%
are wonderful.
Perfect.
Yes, we need that, and we're actually going to do a giveaway. We've had a mug made, like a coffee mug, that has been made with our information on it, and it's actually very cute. I'll have to post a picture.
Yeah, it's really cute. And we'll post a picture when we do the giveaway.
We will do a giveaway on that, so someone can win that.
Yes,
so that would be cool.
We're excited. We've been talking about it for a while.
We have. So, and actually, her husband is helping us with our social media and stuff. So he is the one that knows he's a whiz at this. So he is going to help us do the giveaway, and we'll have him post a picture of the mug, which is very cute, which I'd like to keep it, but we will give it away for you all.
We won't keep it.
We appreciate you all very much.
Yes.
So have a wonderful Yule. We do have one more Patreon episode coming before the end of the year. Is there one more Friday in this month?
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll have one more regular episode too.
Maybe.
Well, we will try. Love you guys. Thanks so much for listening.